What is going on, y'all? Psych Perspectives, Geo Fucks here, and Happy New Year. I've been doing a lot with the house. I uploaded a post yesterday, or not yesterday, but a few days ago, giving an update, and I've got more footage to show you. But this video, I'm just going to be talking about what is likely to come ahead of us with the January 20th inauguration of President Donald J. Trump. 47. He was the 45th president, and he was reelected to be the 47th president. So I have so many thoughts on this. It really is depressing and abysmal to me because, number one, it's on the national holiday for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s national holiday, which also happens to be this upcoming Monday, January 20th. So it's, it is a bit sad that that would be the day the inauguration of the 47 would be. Number two, what is likely to be implemented under President Donald J. Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance administration. They're already talking about doing large immigrant ICE raids this upcoming week across the country. So again, when you think about people who are immigrants, who are undocumented, it's sad and it's scary. When you think about number three, when you think about women, girls, bodies, and lives, it's scary. Again, we're talking about rolling back rights for bodily autonomy that greatly impacts women and girls and greatly impacts LGBTQIA plus people and communities. And I think about trans people, intersex people, non-binary people, Roe versus Wade being overturned, and this constant push to take us back into the past, basically, wanting us to basically be back in the 1950s, and the anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion that we have going on. You don't want people of color, black people, Hispanics, Latinos, Native Americans, indigenous, queer, gay, trans, LGBTQIA plus, women. You don't want people to have rights and freedoms, and you're constantly taking away the limited rights that many of us have, and a lot of us are on the chopping block. Now, things aren't going to just happen overnight. However, the next 4 years are predicted to be very tough, very hard, very difficult, very sad, detrimental for a lot of people from various different demographics and backgrounds. And there's already people discussing, safety precautions for the transgender community, literally discussing how, you need to make sure that you have all of your documents ready. You need to be making sure, all of your legal documents and identification documents are in a safe area. You have extra copies of them. You want to make sure that you got your gender markers updated, your name change corrected, updated on those documents, all of that. And then there's also the conversation around, medication, gender affirming care, which is healthcare. Denying people of healthcare. Are you going to be able to have your hormone therapy, your gender affirming hormone therapy? You know, are you going to be able to get your levels tested and checked? Are you going to be able to see a medical provider? These are things that people within the trans community are facing and preparing for. We already have 23 states in the United States of America that are pushing for gender affirming bans, for banning gender affirming healthcare, which essentially is banning transgender people from getting medical healthcare that is gender affirming for them. But what's so crazy is when they ban gender affirming care, you have to keep in mind, that's why I keep saying, you know, privilege is a hell of a drug. You got to keep in mind, a lot of people that are considered cisgendered also utilize gender affirming healthcare. They also benefit from it. So it's always odd to me, because case in point, what do you think BBLs are? What do you think hair transplants are? What do you think breast augmentations are? You know what I'm saying? And if that's the case, then cisgendered men can't get testosterone either then, because that's considered gender affirming hormones. Cis women who have PCOS or who are going through menopause, I guess they won't be having access to estrogen and other and progesterone and other hormones, right? Like, you're literally going to be harming everybody. You think you're targeting the trans community, the intersex community, but you're going to inevitably hurt cisgender people as well. So it's like, when you're that narrow-minded and short-sighted that you don't see the forest for the trees, essentially, you're not looking at the bigger picture, the grand scheme of everything, you're gonna throw your own self and people that you love and care about under the bus too. When I think about the poor, working class, lower class, middle class, we are screwed. Again, when you look at these corporations, social media, and the oligarchy setup, where literally we're allowing it to the point where it's just going to be the 1% ruling everything, and social media, you know, CEOs, the rich and the wealthy and the billionaires, they're controlling the show. They're controlling everything. They're running the politics, you know what I'm saying? They've got their own political action committees. They're super PACs. You know, they have literally bought and sold the elections, bought and sold politicians. So when you look at legislation that's going to be getting implemented, oh, it's packed here today, but that's because it's sunny out. But dang, it's packed. We're gonna be here for a minute. When you look at all of that and what's going on, it's like they're controlling the show. They don't want people to make living wages. They don't want people to be able to afford to have a quality of life. They want everybody to be working, you know, 60 plus hours a week. Everybody got to have a full-time job, a part-time job, side hustles, donate plaza, run a couple of shifts for DoorDash. You're just working nonstop to still be poor, to still be broke, to still not be able to afford to live, to still not be able to take care of your family, to, you know what I'm saying, live in check to check, because they don't want to raise wages. In the United States of America, the federal minimum wage has literally been $7.25 an hour at the federal level since July 24th, 2009. When I am recording this video, it is January 18th, 2025. It's going on 16 years, y'all, since the federal minimum wage has been increased. We all know good and well There is literally no place in the USA that working a full-time minimum wage job at the federal level of $7.25 an hour is going to allow you to be able to afford rent. I mean, are we not looking at rent prices across the country? I mean, rent is astronomical. It is extremely unaffordable and unattainable for a lot of people, to the point that you literally have an influx, an increase of homelessness across the country. More and more people are ending up homeless. More and more people are ending up impoverished because of the high cost of living. Our wages and salaries don't reflect the cost of living at all. It definitely doesn't take into consideration inflation or price gouging. So, then when we look at our infrastructure in the United States of America has been falling apart for 10 plus years. Honestly, 20, 30, 40 something years. And everywhere you go, you know, you see the piss poor infrastructure of this country. You know, rather you're in Texas, where they're literally basically their electric grid is about to fall apart. This is why there's always so many power outages. To the water sources, a lot of our water is contaminated because we have outdated sewer systems. I mean, you know, I'm from the city of Flint, Michigan. We've been dealing with this going on 12 years. So, and Flint was just, you know, I guess ground zero. Meanwhile, this is all over the country. So many cities and states are having the same issues. And a lot of people are finding out the hard way that, hey, you know, you've got lead contamination, you got high PFAS, you got all these, you know, bacterias and metals that shouldn't even be in your water, that's in your water, while still paying high water bills. And Flint, Michigan still is paying some of the nation's highest water bills, despite the fact that the water really ain't safe, despite the fact that people are still getting sick. Okay, it's bad out here. I think about healthcare. The Affordable Care Act that was implemented in 2010 under President Barack Obama and Vice President Joe Biden, going on basically 15 years ago. When I look at that saved a lot of people. That provided, you know, over 40 million Americans with health care coverage, finally. A lot of people who have pre-existing health conditions, under this new president and this new administration, may potentially lose their health care coverage because they're getting rid of covering pre-existing health conditions. That's going to be very detrimental for a lot of us, including myself, right? Because I have pre-existing health conditions. I think about my mom. I think about my grandmother. I think about my godkids, my friends, my family, my community. Arguably, everybody in the city of Flint, we should have free health care really for the rest of our lives, considering that the government poisoned us under Governor Rick Snyder. You know, me, I'm gonna call it out. I'm not finna sit up here and sugarcoat that. You know, we were literally poisoned by our government in the state of Michigan, in Flint, Michigan, under Governor Rick Snyder, who was the governor of Michigan from 2010 to 2018. And a lot of the people in the city of Flint have pre-existing health conditions directly related to the fact that we were poisoned. Our water source was contaminated and poisoned. So when I look at stuff like that, it's just very, 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 it's scary. It's disheartening. It's depressing. It shouldn't have to be this way. You know, we should, in my opinion, we should care more about people. We should care more about other people outside of us. You know, and then sitting back looking at people who voted for this man. The same people who voted for this man, who are then telling all of these different demographics that I just named, oh, it's not that serious. Oh, you're exaggerating. Oh, you're blowing it out of proportion. When they're literally telling us they're going to be taking away our health care as transgender people, as intersex people. They're literally criminalizing porn. And I know a lot of people are looking at that like, well, you know, that's good. We don't really need porn. Porn's bad. And, you know, there's mixed opinions on that. But what people don't understand is when you're criminalizing porn, you're also criminalizing the LGBTQIA plus community. It's a slippery slope. And I don't think people really understand what can potentially happen in the coming years. So, and again, they're talking about getting rid of marriage equality. So again, you have a lot of gay, lesbian, bisexual, queer, LGBTQIA plus people who may lose their right to marry their loved one, to marry the love of their life. You know, it's bigger than that, you know. Then that's just stuff that's going on inside of the USA domestically. When you look globally and you look at the geopolitical structure, who we elect as, you know, presidents, Congress, vice president, senators, what have you, ultimately also impact the rest of the world, because we are interconnected globally. It isn't just about our country. It's not just about our state either, right? Because again, everybody's talking about, oh, well, I can just move to a blue state. Well, it's not that easy, number one, to just move. You're literally telling people that they have to, you know, leave entire communities, places that they always lived and grew up in, their entire families, their friends. They have to leave all of that behind to go to a blue state so they can have access to freedom and rights and protections. And it's not even that easy. It's not affordable. And in many cases, it's not realistic or doable for people to be able to have that option to even do that. And I don't really, again, I don't think people are not grasping that. You know, it's not that quick, right? And then on top of that, okay, you have state rights, but at the end of the day, federal trumps state. Federal laws supersede state laws, okay? And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. A lot of us have already voted at the state level to protect abortion rights, reproductive health care, reproductive rights and access. However, at the federal level, they can decide at the federal level that, you know what, who cares that you voted in your state to protect abortion access or reproductive health care or reproductive rights. We're making it illegal at the federal level, so that doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, and then California is on fire. Like, California is literally burning. Entire neighborhoods and communities no longer exist because of a wildfire. That allegations that it was also caused by arsonists. And a lot of the areas that got burnt were predominant. Some of the areas, some of the areas, some of those communities and neighborhoods that got burnt down were predominantly black areas, black and brown areas. And then also you have all these people who have died because of the fires. Okay. And then we still have everything going on in Tennessee and other states where the hurricanes hit, climate change. Then I'm looking at what's going on with bird flu. We still got people dropping left and right still from COVID and long haul COVID and all of these health ailments that are literally because people kept getting reinfected with coronavirus, COVID-19. So it's just so much stuff that I'm thinking about. So as we go into 2025 and as we prepare for this new president, and their presidential administration, I'm sending love to women and girls. I'm sending love to transgender people and anybody that falls underneath the transgender umbrella. I'm sending love to working class people, poor people, working poor, working class, middle class people. I'm sending love to people who have health issues and pre-existing health conditions. I'm sending love to the LGBTQIA plus community. Love and light, you know, because I'm sending love and continued love to the people in Palestine, the people in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, in Sudan, in Yemen. I'm sending love and light to all marginalized and oppressed people. Because it's scary out here. And again, everybody wants to joke and make it seem like it's not that big of a deal when it is. And it's easy to say something isn't that big of a deal when you're not the target audience. Okay? You know, a lot of cisgender people, a lot of biological people, they don't have to worry about losing rights for healthcare or being able to go to the bathroom or being able to, you know, play sports, be able to purchase a home, being able to have a job, because they're rolling back protections. A lot of cis men don't have to worry about being forced to carry a child, you know, or if they get sexually assaulted, raped, or abused, being forced to carry a rapist child. You know, a lot of rich and wealthy people don't have to worry about if they're going to be able to afford rent, if they're going to be able to put food on the table. A lot of able-bodied, healthy people don't have to worry about their health care being denied because they don't have a pre-existing health condition. And a pre-existing health condition can be anything from you having asthma to you having multiple sclerosis to you having IBS. So think about it. Again, these are the things that I'm worried about, that I'm concerned about, that I'm thinking about. Now, they had another Million Women's March today. I believe January 18th was the Million Women's March in Washington, D.C. I went to the Million Women's March in Washington, D.C. in 2017, and I also went to the Million Women's March in Michigan in 2018. I told myself after the election last year, November 5th, 2024, I wasn't going to do that because me personally, do what works for you. Activism, there's so many tools to fighting against oppression. Some folks are going to be marching and protesting and attending rallies. Some people are going to be running for elected office at their local, state, and federal level. Some people are going to be writing, you know, petitions, lobbying, and, you know, there's so many, and voting and what have you. There's so many different ways of fighting against oppression. And there's so many tools in the toolbox. I have been saying this for years. Use the tool or the tools in the toolbox that is most comfortable for you. And again, a lot of us have burnt the cape because we're tired of constantly, you know, ringing the alarm and trying to tell people, hey, this is what's going on. This is going to happen. We're hurting, we're suffering, just for people to turn around and say it's not that big of a deal. But then when things happen to them, they expect you to come and save them, to come and advocate for them, to come and be an ally. But then they don't want to return that energy. They don't want to reciprocate that effort back. And here's the thing. Yes, I have definitely burned the cape. Number one, I'm tired. I've been doing this for over a decade. Number two, I'm starting to realize you really do have to control your energy. You have to control your emotions. You have to control your reactions and your responses. You really have to pick and choose the battles that you're going to fight. And that's what I'm doing. And at the same time, I'm still very much aware of what's going on in society and how it can impact people around me and around the world. It isn't, and the thing, like I've been saying for a long time, it's not just about me, you know? Case in point, if they gut the housing choice voucher program, aka Section 8, that's not going to impact me. I don't need Section 8 to be able to afford a home to rent. I actually own my home, so that doesn't impact me. And yet, I don't want it to be gutted because it helps millions of people in this country be able to afford rent, to be able to have shelter. I don't mind my tax dollars going to Section 8 housing choice vouchers. I want you to be able to take care of you and your children and your family. I want you and your children to have a quality, safe, affordable place to stay. The discussions to cut food stamps, that's not going to impact me. I don't need food stamps to be able to afford food, to be able to afford groceries. However, I don't want to see that program cut because, again, millions of families around the USA utilize food stamps to be able to provide groceries and nourishment for themselves and their families. I don't mind my tax dollars going to food stamps, Section 8, healthcare, infrastructure, education. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by, you know, when you're not coming from a selfish, privileged mindset of, well, it doesn't bother me, it doesn't affect me, so who cares? You're literally throwing millions of people under the bus just because it doesn't impact you directly. And that is what I mean by a lot of people really need to look in the mirror and grasp the potential consequences and the potential issues that many people, including yourself, inevitably will face in the coming years under this presidency. So, sending everybody love and light. If you're an ally, this is the time for you to stand up as an ally. If you're a cis person, this is the time for you to stand up for trans people. If you're a cis man, this is your time to stand up for cis women and trans women. And trans men. If you are more well off, you have more finances, you have more financial stability, this is your time to stand up and support those who have less than you. Support those who are living check to check, who are poor, who are going without. That's what being an ally really is about. It's not just a term, it's an action. It's an action. Okay? And that's what I'm going to leave you all with. I know I've been kind of MIA with the videos. I've been dealing with a lot with the house and my mom's health and just other things going on. But I'm going to leave you with that.